Hello, 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 and welcome to another episode of the Full Quota Podcast. You can get that up there. My name is Mpho and Tim. I've got Tim Delace here with me. Remember, this is your South African cricket podcast. We're covering all things South African cricket on a weekly basis. We're going to talk about all the ins and outs and all the happenings in there. There's a lot of rumors that I want to hear Tim's thoughts on. We'll do that at the start of the week of the show. But before you do anything, thank you very much for your support. Please follow us on X or Twitter. I was told to still say Twitter. So Twitter, now known as X, at Full Quota Pod. Also on One World Sports Radio's podcast platform. So please do subscribe there. We've got other podcasts as well. The soccer one called Cheap Seats. We've also got Crash Ball, who I heard from a little birdie that they might be back. So please do check it out. And the only way you would know is if you subscribed. And then for the audio listeners, all those who want to listen to us and argue with us while driving the car or doing other tasks in the house, Spotify, Full Quota Podcast. Just put it in the search bar. You'll find us there. Also on Apple Podcasts for those guys who want to be antisocial and don't want to be like other children on Android. We've got you covered too. So please do follow us on all of those. So this week, we had the start of the SA20. But we're going to go into a segment of our show called What's Happened This Week. We're going to just talk about all the things that are happening because today's show is going to be on the SA20. But we also want to give you something about what's happened around things. But before we do any of that, Tim, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, mate. Things are sweltering hot down at the Cape. And I'm just wishing we had more cricket, but otherwise all good.
Look, there's other cricket. There's a domestic game that happened over the weekend that we thought wouldn't get game time, but a certain team from the North, Tim, won, and they are looking at probably helping the Knights get into Division 1 because I think based on how they performed in the One Day Cup, Limpopo wouldn't have a chance unless if the Knights dropped all their games from now on until the end. But they've given themselves a chance. Really great victory against the Easterns over the weekend.
Yeah, that was exceptional. It's really good to see the consistency in Limpopo. They did win 3 games at the 4-day competition. They've done it again this season with a game to go, with a game spare. So they basically in the 3 seasons that they've played in the new structure, they've won a third of their games in the 4-day series. That's a hell of a statement for a team in that first season. We're not playing first-class cricket. It took a while for CSA to give them the first-class status. So they deserve a huge credit for what they've achieved over the last couple of seasons.
Massive, and Coach Parsons there, just showing how great a coach he is and what he can do with the franchise like a province like Limpopo. Okay, that was part of the what's happened this week. There's many other things. First thing, the Proteas women are going on a tour to Australia. They haven't been there in a while. I think last time they were there was before COVID. And so this is the squad that was named for the tour. They're going to be doing multi-formats. They'll be playing T20s, they'll be playing ODIs, and there'll be one red ball game on the 15th to the 18th of Feb. It's the first time both South Africa and Australia will play in the red ball game. That squad will be announced closer to the time, but this is the squad for the white ball leg of the journey to Australia, the tour to Australia. Laura Wolfart, Annika Bosch, Tasman Brits, Nadine de Klerk, Mika Derrida, who's the wicketkeeper, Ayanda Slubi, Sinalo Jafta, Marizan Kap, Ayabonga Kaka, Masabata Class, Sune Lees, Elis Marie Marks, Nonkileko Mlaba, Chloe Tran, and Del Mi Taka. There's only a couple of names that surprised me, Tim, in this on this list. But happy to see Ayanda Slubi get another go. We thought we needed another fast bowler in there, and she's putting herself in there. Also, you also have who is it? They've taken Mika Derrida as cover for keeping. Annery Dirksen will feel hard done by. So with Dumisi Kukune, as well as Western Province batter. Name escapes me now.
The one who hasn't been picked for ages.
No,
The
no,
one
no,
we
no.
spoke about off Faye Tunnicliffe. I don't think she was going to get on there.
Hey, I'll just have to go back and check the squad. This is what podcasting is. Laura Goodall. Laura Goodall. Yes, Laura's not on this list as well, which is also a surprise and also quite disappointed. They'll be very disappointed in all of this, but we wish them all the best as they go to Australia. Hope that they can, cause an upset and win a ODI game. I think the last time they won one was in 2016 in Australia. So hopefully they can get a few wins against the world's best down under. So they're going to be on their way to Australia close to the end of the week, and the game start at the back end of next week. So yeah, anything about the momentum the Proteas women? We
Well,
can't call them Proteas.
you talked about the couple of changes, couple of surprises,
Mm-hmm.
but it to me it just looks like the same old, same old. Okay, you've got the Laura Goodall's not there, but it just looks like a squad that we've been picking for the last 18 months. It doesn't look like a squad that is being refreshed with young, fresh talent. I think an opportunity was missed where even if she didn't play, I think they could have taken somebody from the under 19 setup and said, listen, you're not going to play, but we're going to take you for the experience, and maybe at the end of the tour, when the tour's done, well, you'll play a game right at the back end of the tour.
Yeah.
But essentially, you're going there for the experience. I think an opportunity for that was missed with the squad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Look,
So that's my
I
only
agree
thing.
with you. It's the same old, and the same old started with what happened early last week, with Hilton Moring's contract being continued. So this man's been coaching this team for close to 14 years now, and he's going to continue to do that up until for the next couple of years. And so my worry is that it's the same old, same old. There's nothing new, no new fresh ideas, and so it's as though CSA just want to keep the women's team in a safe place where they are. The only problem is they're being leapfrogged by India. They're being leapfrogged by other countries in the world. India performed incredibly well against Australia. They even beat them in the test match. I don't think we could. I know we could get there, but the way we're going about it with the same old, as you've said, could be something that is holding us back. And I feel like this women's team is moving forward with the handbrake up. All right, they're running with the handbrake up. They're not being allowed to, see what they can do with this potential. We missed a great chance with the golden generation doing the exact same thing, and now we're doing the exact same thing. We're just repeating the same thing, thinking that we get back to a World Cup semi-final and possibly a World Cup final, like we did last year. And I don't think that'll be the same, because when we're supposed to go forward last year after the Women's World Cup final, it feels like we've taken a few steps back, and that's my worry about it. I don't want to dwell on it. One other story for this week was yesterday in the Afrikaans newspapers. There was a story around Dean Alga. The story was that Dean was told before the tour that he wasn't going to be picked for India, and he had asked Coach Shukri that he could play this India series as a farewell series. Well, great decision by Coach Shukri to say yes. Are you surprised by the news? And that's what I'm going to ask.
No, I'm not. On two fronts. Shukri, it takes a lot of persuading Shukri. When Shukri decides something, that's pretty much it. And that's been the case with his career as a coach. And I'm not surprised that they butted heads, because they are similar characters. They don't give the opponent any quarter. So the fact that they sort of butted heads on this matter doesn't surprise me in the slightest. It doesn't worry me for the Dean Alga situation, because I think he was coming to the end anyway. If you look at how he did over the last 12 months prior to the series, it wasn't great.
I think he averaged 29 in the last since COVID.
Yeah, it worries me for the future that Coach doesn't have somebody there going, listen, coach, perhaps try this, try something else.
Yeah.
This is not the reason to go. This is not the way to go, and these are the reasons. He's been given carte blanche, and I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with any coach getting carte blanche,
And you can see
and
what the
that's a problem for me.
treatment, and it kind of corroborates the treatment that Heiner Klaassen got that led to his retirement, right? And to a certain extent, I understand it's international cricket. I understand we're adults, but communication is important. But it feels like it's selective, and there's a lot of shooting from the hip, as you say. And I do agree. Maybe he does need someone to check him. The only issue for me was New Zealand. Couldn't you have said we're keeping you until New Zealand? And then we'll make a decision after New Zealand. We don't have tests until December, right? And so you can send them back and say, Dean, in the domestic season, I need you to score, I don't know, average 50 or score 2 centuries at a strike rate of 80. If you don't do that, we will not pick you for the next test series. It's a simple thing, right?
Yeah,
Rather than necessarily, because I look at that New Zealand tour, and I'm like, Dean would have enjoyed that New Zealand tour. Even if it is with the C team, right? Because he loves playing Test cricket, and it's quite a intriguing set of news that's coming out about obviously treatment of senior players, and it's just worrying about the Proteas dressing room right now, as to if you're like even the treatment of Keegan Peterson, him being dropped for the Newlands test, like after one game, and yes, he made a mistake, but did it warrant him being dropped entirely? But that's the way he does it. It's somebody different, and like I spoke about the women's team, we're doing this thing same old, same old. He's a little different. We just need to get used to it. It is going to be uncomfortable. We just need to find a way to get used to Coach Shukri. But I think all those who know him will vouch for him, and I think that's the more important thing. Okay, let's move on to SA20. We're promising you a review of the first week of the SA20. So let's go. Let's get through, and then I'll go through the results, and then Tim will talk about some of the games that he liked, and then we'll go through some of the key things that are happening. So SA20 started this week, last week Wednesday, with a damn squib. Eastern Sunrise, Eastern Cape, and Joburg Super Kings got rained out. It was abandoned without a ball being bowled. That was going to end up being two teams only points coming out of this week, and they both played twice. So that was really important because they could have been sitting at the bottom of the log. One of them would have been sitting at the bottom of the log with no wins after this one. The next game was Durban Super Giants against the MI Cape Town in Durban. Durban Super Giants won that game, but MI Cape Town batted first and scored 207. Ryan Rickleton shutting up the haters, maybe also letting Coach Shukri know and Coach Rob know that he should be in the white ball reckoning. He scored 87. Kimo Paul, he took 2 for 31 for Durban Super Giants. Durban Super Giants in the reply didn't look like they were going to get there until Heiner Klaassen came in, and he showed his class with his 85 of 35 balls. Matthew Bretzke also scored 39 runs for DSG. Kagiso Rabada took 2 for 23. Durban Super Giants won that game by 11 runs using the Duckworth Lewis method, all because Heiner Klaassen understands what urgency means and understands how this game works out. Then on Friday, the Paarl Royals played their first of the weekend doubleheader against the Pretoria Capitals. They played in Paarl first up, a sold-out affair. They put down 160 on a slowish pitch, as we know it could be. Mitch van Buren and Andile Petlukwa scoring 28. Andy P's 28 was all 14 balls. Really good 28. Really impressed by him. Darren de Pavilon and Corbin Bosch took 2 wickets each for the Pretoria Capitals, who look a little light in the bowling. I don't know why. It's just weird. And then the Pretoria Capitals, in reply, couldn't, with all that batting firepower, could only get to 133 for 7. Phil Salt, 39, but Andy Lepetlua, 2 for 29. He was named man of the match. It was kind of like a revenge week in SA20. Rickleton, Petluguayo for all the haters. Lungingiti looked good in that game, by the way. Then Saturday was the first of the double headers. Joburg Super Kings against MI Cape Town. Joburg Super Kings conceded 243 runs for 5. That was a record. Really, really great. batting from the opening pair, the MI Cape Town opening pair of Rassie van der Dussen, who has been let go in a lot of the T20 Proteas setup. He scored 100, the first century of the SA20 2.0. Ryan Rickleton fell too short with his 98 to 49. Nandre Berger took 2 for 53, but the damage was already done. In reply, Joburg Super Kings at home, 145 all out. Leos Deploy, 48 of 24. However, it was the yes, 48 of 24, and Mario Shepherd got 34 of 19. However, it was George Linder who took 2 wickets, as well as just George Linder took 2 wickets. I just need to get that up. I just can't read my writing now, which is weird. Ollie Stone, yes, Ollie Stone 2 for 18, who helped MI Cape Town bowl JSK out. On Saturday afternoon, Sunrisers hosted the Durban Super Giants, and Durban Super Giants put down 225 for 3. This time it was Brietska who got in the runs with a 44, and Nicholas Puran got 60 off 31. Sad that he's going to be leaving soon. Frank Worrell, took 2 for 35 for Sunrisers. In reply, Sunrise could only get to 190 for 9. Tom Bell, 65 for 36. Tristan Stubbs, 55 for 26. But the Durban Super Giants bowling of John Smuts, Dwayne Pretorius, and it's not Mark Gleeson, it's Jack Gleeson. 2 wickets each. They all took 2 wickets each in that game. Massive win for Durban Super Giants. And then finally, yesterday, Paarl Royals came to Johannesburg, to Tshwane, to Pretoria, to take on the Pretoria Capitals. They put down 210 for 3 batting first. Miller and MVB Mitch van Buren putting on a stand of 141. Mitch van Buren ended with 72 not out. Miller 75 not out. It was really lovely to see. Rashid, Nisham, and Corbin Bosch took 1 wicket each for the Pretoria Capitals, but that 210 looked daunting. Could the Pretoria Capitals do it? They only got to 200 for 7. Will Jacks with a 58. Riley Rousseau with an 85 or 45. That excited everybody because somehow he too wanted to be a part of the revenge season weekend. Another member who's also part of the revenge season weekend was Lungengiti. All those who were talking bad at him, he then took 4 for 39 in an impressive bowling spell. And Obed McCoy, who was injured for the Paarl Royals last year, he came out with 1 for 30, with him defending 4 runs when 14 was needed in the final over. Or no, defending 10 runs because he conceded 4 in the final over to help the Paarl Royals win their second game. And so the SA20 table, to start off with, looks like this. Durban Super Giants at the top with 2 wins and 8 points. Paarl Royals, 2 wins and 8 points as well. MI Cape Town, 1 win, 1 loss, but they've got a bonus point, so they're on 5 points. And then it's the tail of the teams that were the top teams last year. Sunrise Eastern Cape, 2 points in 4th. Joburg Super Kings, 2 points in 5th. And Pretoria Capitals, 2 games, 2 losses, and 0 points at the bottom. Surprising weekend. Tim, what did you make of the first week of the SA20?
So, just a quick correction. Durban Super Giants made the same mistake. It's Richard Gleeson, not Jack.
Richard, not Jack. Okay. Yes.
Yeah.
There's I know a Mark Gleeson. I don't know a Richard Gleeson.
Yeah.
But now I do.
They put out their tweet saying it was Jack, and they got shall we say, they got slaughtered when they put it out. So
so I do apologize. It is Richard Gleeson. Yes, Richard Gleeson.
Anyway,
and the other question was, where did they find him from?
England. Yeah.
Where in England?
He's good. So he plays for... I'm not sure who he plays for. October, I should know. I think Lancashire?
Mm-hmm.
So they're the north anyway. Good fast bowler. He's got a very interesting story. It took him a while to find cricket, but that's by the by. The weekend itself was a good one. If you compare it to last season, there were more scores than 200. Last season at this
Yes.
stage, we had one score of 200. This season, we've got 5. The average score last season at this stage was 156. The average score this season at this stage is 189. So
Mm.
by those metrics and by what I saw with my own eyes, it's been an upgrade. Absolutely, a big upgrade on what we saw last season.
Yeah.
Um, Very exciting. The only thing I would say is that you could have had a couple of more close finishes. That's the only um, downer that I would have on the week so far. But
Okay.
there were
Yeah, because our
performances that
first close finish was yesterday, and you could say
yeah,
that Durban Super Giants finish against MI Cape Town in game 2 was close, but we thought we'd be coming back, and I think that was
yeah,
the disappointing
yeah,
part, right? We knew
yeah,
what Heino Klaassen was doing,
yeah,
but you thought if they came back, maybe they weren't able to make it, but somehow the rain in Spain falls mainly on the plane.
yeah.
Yeah. So look, I look at this and I'm like, okay, what did we miss anything last week? Why are the teams we thought wouldn't make the playoffs the ones causing a lot of damage? Okay, we did say Durban Super Giants would make the playoffs. We recorded the podcast before they got Richard Gleason. I nearly called him Richard Gere, but I'll call him Richard Gleason. Um, and I think he's a really great buy, right? They needed a pacer, another pacer to help with Reece Topley. Obviously, Nicholas Puran is leaving, but Heino Klaassen is still Heino Klaassen. Quinton at the top is still Quinton. Obviously, there's questions around Vian and Dwayne, but all in all, Durban Super Giants, we kind of predicted that they could do something like this. So I'm happy with that. Why are the Paarl Royals and the MI Cape Town at the top of the log? What's changed?
Paarl Royals is simple. It's home ground. That's slower wicket teams have not adapted to, and
Yeah.
that's poor management. Everybody knows Paarl wicket is a little on the slow side. You can't hit everything out the park, even if you want to. You just can't. You
Mm-hmm.
can't on the wicket. So it's that, and it's also the fact that Miller is in an incredible purple patch. Miller at the moment, hopefully for the Paarl, my worry for them is it's not going to last, and they don't have enough in the reserves to back it up. But at the moment, his purple patch is incredible, and then they've utilised, unlike I'm sure we'll discuss Pretoria, unlike Pretoria, they've used the young local talent. They said to Mitchell, "We liked you last season. You did quite well with us. We see you as a rising star," and they've given him that mantle. They said, "We're going to bat you at the top order, and we're going to back you." And
Yeah.
he delivered, my boy. He
Yeah.
absolutely
For those
delivered.
who don't know who Mitch van Buren is, Mitch van Buren is a Joburg boy. He plays for the Lions. He's been playing for the Lions for the past 5-6 years. Schooled here at Cares, well, in Joburg at Cares, and he's dominated every level of cricket he's played. This season, he's one of the Lions' key batters in the One Day Cup. He was one of the leading run scorers for the Lions. He kind of kept innings together. If things were falling apart, Mitch would help. And they call him MVB down here because he is MVB. He's that good. And I'm happy that he's getting an opportunity. Even in the first class game, he's in the run. So he's actually having a very good start to the domestic season, and it rolled into SA20 really well. Similar to Ryan Rickleton, his season started picking up towards November, December, and now you're seeing the fruits of a Ryan Rickleton who's on form, who is out of this world. And when Ryan's on form, he's insane. And so it's like, for me, it was a weekend of, like, when watching the MI Cape Town, I sat there going, so the Joburg boys are the Lions boys are the ones who are going to just punish Joburg Super Kings today. And they did. It was a really incredible partnership between Rassie and Ryan Rickleton. For Paarl, the other thing before we move to MI Cape Town, I like their bowling. I've been a massive fan of Fabian Allen. I like Obed McCoy. I thought without him last year, they kind of missed something from a bowling perspective, and you saw that with them being able to restrict the Paarl or the Pretoria Capitals in both games, right? Obert McCoy in that final over was just a bag of tricks, back of the hand, slow ball bounces, just insanely type of skills. Lungi as well, who I always say is the most skillful bowler in South Africa, he came out with this bag of tricks, took 4 wickets. You've got Bjorn, you've got Shamsi, who can take wickets in the middle overs. I think they could possibly be one of the underrated bowling attacks in this tournament. And I think they're going to be a handful at home. But I do think if totals do go their way and they can keep up the batting, that bowling will follow, especially when the playoffs are not in Paarl. Because that's my biggest worry for DSG and Paarl, is that you guys are not going to play away, not going to play in Durban or in Paarl in the playoffs. And that's the one thing I wanted, was you should earn the right to play at home. But maybe that's next year's SA20. MI Cape Town. That batting lineup, we didn't know what that top order was going to look like, but they promoted Rassie to open. They kept Ryan Rickleton. Dievold is in there. It still looks a little, middle order still looks a little light.
It's shaky.
But,
it's still
yes,
a little shaky. Yeah.
But the bowling has come together in some way, but it's been the batting for MI Cape Town. They've been able to keep themselves in games with that very powerful top order. I think Rassie wants to make a statement. Ryan wants to make a statement. Dievold wants to make a statement. He'll get his chance. And so I love the fact that they've given Connor Esterhuizen a chance. I like the fact that they gave Thomas Caber an opportunity as well. In that first game, I thought that's amazing. Then they called him a youngster. We understand he's not a youngster. He's been in domestic cricket for yonks. But I think for me, that's how MI Cape Town are doing it right now. I do think it'll catch up with them, especially when they weren't able to defend 225 with the Duckworth-Lewis adjustment. That bothered me a lot. And I think a lot of their games are going to be seesawing that way. And it's not going to be just as easy as them being able to bowl out Joburg Super Kings, who had to attack. But the great thing for them is that they know that they'll always be in games scoring above 200, and they've done that on 2 occasions.
They are the Manchester United of SA20. They have got enough star quality to upset people, to have an impact on who's going to win this competition. I don't think they have enough to go on and clinch it. They don't have enough in that middle order to really put the nail on and say it's theirs. But they've got enough star quality to have an impact on this tournament. And who knows? Look, if Ryan keeps going berserk like he's been doing at the moment, if he keeps scoring runs, if Rassie keeps finding that last bit of flame in his career, maybe they'll surprise somebody, get somebody get in the qualifiers. And then you never know. But I just think at the moment, despite the fact that Rassie and Ryan are batting beautifully, they're going to be a little bit short. But hell, it's good
giving
to
them
see
a chance.
Ryan. It's good to see Ryan in particular doing this in this competition against this quality of bowling. That's it is. It's saying to Rob, listen, I'm here. I want to play, and I want to play.
It should also be saying to Shukri that he's here too, because Shukri likes guys who can bat at a high strike rate. And this guy's done it in red ball cricket before we had the break. So it's to both coaches. And it gives Rob a bit of a conundrum right now, right? Because even Riley Rousseau, who wasn't in the Australia squad for the T20s, he's also putting down the runs. And so the question is, like, at the top of that order, it's a bit of a situation, right? And obviously we're trying to get Quinny to play in the T20 World Cup. So yeah, and then Matthew Britzker, he also had some runs and he's also in the run. So there's a lot of guys who, if you had to pick an SA 2011 to go to the World Cup, I think we might be onto something at this upcoming World Cup. But let's talk about the 3 that didn't win, the top 3 teams from last year. Sunrisers, Eastern Cape, and Joburg Super Kings. Obviously, their game was rained out, but I think they'd be happy to take those 2 points right now, because if you look at the Pretoria Capitals, you're sitting there going, oh no, I'd rather not be in this situation right now. However, all three teams are in trouble. Sunrisers played one game. They couldn't get to the 200 that Durban Super Giants set them. Where are they? We saw the issue with the fast bowling, and we saw that they brought in. I don't know his first name, but I think he's Frank Worrell. But
No, it's Dan.
Dan, yes. And then they brought in Dan Worrell, who seemingly is good, but I feel like they need another pacer to kind of another wicket taker. Othniel Bartman was bowled last towards the back end of the innings, which was surprising for me. When you need wickets, right, and you're chasing wickets. Where are their issues? Where are their issues right now, or is it just teething things early season and they'll get the train going soon?
They made a grave error. A really grave error. So, the signing of Liam Dawson was a very, very smart move. The swapping of John for Harmer was just not a good move. It was just not a good move. Even before that game, you know me, I'm a Harmer fan. I'm picking Harmer for everything except T20 cricket. I'm not picking him for T20. He's a decent performer. He's okay. And you can have him in your 19, but he's not John. He's John. John isn't consistent enough to play for South Africa, but he's consistent enough at the level just below that. He is outstanding, and he offers you something with the bat, at the ball. I think in general the Sunrisers will be okay. I think they've got a good coaching setup there. I don't think they're going to be they'll be disappointed, but I do think they've got enough. The problem is they're not getting the right 11 out there. Dan Worrell, I'm not sure I'll be playing him either. So for me, it's the 11. It's the 11 that's the problem, not the fact that they are playing badly. I think they're playing decent cricket. They're playing well enough to get to those qualifiers, and that's all that matters. They saw from last season. All that matters is to get in the qualifiers. It doesn't matter what you're doing the first week of the tournament. Yeah. I think they'll come good. The runs will come good. I think the fact that Tom Abel scored runs, that takes pressure off people like Markram. I think that's
and also Tristan stopped scoring runs early in the tournament when last year he didn't have a great tournament, right? So that kind of also eases the pressure on that top order, which is going to chop and change. The Sunrise Eastern Cape top orders is going to chop and change. You have to get used to it. They struggled last year at the top. It was that middle order that kind of kept them together, and was Aidan Markram's talent that kept them together. So they're ones I'm not worried about. It's the two here in the Highveld that I'm seriously worried about. Joburg Super Kings, right? Where the wicket's going to come from? If you can't be taking wickets regularly, and that was the problem against MI Cape Town. You're at home, you're able to take wickets. What's going on? Why can't you? And I think it's that second seamer spot. I like Lazard. I think he's great. I think he's a great backup bowler. He's not an opening bowler. And the longer Gerald is not able to play, it becomes a bit of a problem. Because I look at last year, it was Alzari and it was Gerald. And then you had everyone else who was like filling in here and there. And for me, it's that second seamer spot. Nandre did well. It took 2 wickets. The issue for me is we bowl in partnerships. Can you do that? So I'm worried about that. I'm worried about the batting as well. If Faf and Reza and Ronan Faf and Reza don't do anything, this team can't win games. And you're relying on Lias and Moeen Ali and Ronan Harman in the middle order, and Donovan Ferreira, who should be stepping up, and we hope he does, and he will throughout the tournament. But you kind of need that train to go. I'm worried about that middle order a lot. But it's still early days. They've got a really good. It's just that bowling attack needs time to click. I know you've got David Visa, you've got Romario Shepherd, you've got guys who will take wickets for you, but they're not guys who I will be reliant on. Zahir Khan is one, but if you can't take wickets up front, Zahir Khan effectively becomes ineffective on that at the Wanderers, especially with the shortish boundaries. So yeah, there's a lot for them to think about. They're playing Durban Super Giants. Probably by the time you listen to it, the game will have ended, so you will know if they've broken this, if they've gotten their first win of the season or not. What do you think of
Yeah,
Joburg Super Kings?
I agree with everything you said. I agree with where you highlighted the problems. It's the bowling. We said at the beginning, we did say that bowling attack could be lethal if Gerald comes back soon.
Mm,
That not having Gerald is massive.
yeah,
The one change that I would make, and I would make tomorrow at or their next game, is Wayne Madson's got to play. I know a lot of guys here won't have seen a lot of him. If you get Wayne Madsen in that top six, it solidifies that top six so much. Um, I would even drop somebody like Romario for Wayne. So have your top order
yeah.
that you had
I'm with you.
last time, and
Yes,
then just say to Lewis, we might need you to bowl a couple of overs. There's nothing wrong with that. If you got desperate,
even a
he
Donovan
needs
Ferreira can bowl a couple of overs as well. So yeah,
exactly. So that's what I would be doing. You get Wayne Madsen in there, he will just calm the situation. He won't be frenetic. He won't be out there trying to hit the ball for six every ball. He will give the people like Donovan the freedom to play their innings. They will
yeah.
not have the pressure that is there at the moment.
Okay, and then yeah, the boys from Pretoria. I call them the Blue Ferrari. See, the team that call Blue Ferrari are the ones that they just don't play well. But it is still early. Are they telling themselves it's still early, or are they worried?
I think that they will be telling themselves not to worry. If I was them, I would be worrying. I know I picked them for the final and everything, but I would be worrying. And if you look a little bit closer into their squad, they can get an outstanding 11 out there, which they're not getting at the moment. They've got two issues, and two picks that I certainly the one doesn't make sense to me. So the Wayne Parnell one, he's last played in August. I know it's T20 cricket. I know he plays a lot of cricket, but it's still August. That's still a 3-4 months ago that he's played, and he's
That's
had
their
injury
captain,
problems. And he's had injury problems in recent times. So you're taking a guy who's getting a bit older, he's got a bit of injuries, has played a lot of cricket, but the bigger one for me, which made no sense at all, is Tennis de Bruin. Tennis de Bruin has not played any cricket, as far as I'm aware, of any note over the last 12 months. At best, he's playing club cricket in Pretoria. And club cricket in Pretoria is not SA20. I'm sorry, but it's not preparation for what is, by all accounts, the second best T20 tournament in the world. By many metrics. It to me, it made no sense. If he was in the 19, wasn't going to play, he was there sort of as a mentor kind of figure, and you played Kyle instead, okay, I could kind of get that because a squad of 19 is big. No, it's really big.
Yeah.
But when you've got somebody like Kyle who's in great form, and you're not playing him, it doesn't make sense to me. So those two guys, particularly the Tennis de Bruin one, because he's played both the games and he's looked like a guy who hasn't played for 12 months. It doesn't fit. And you've got somebody like Paul Sterling. Paul Sterling,
Yes.
he is made for this cricket. He is made for this format. You want an explosive start. I get you've got Salt and you've got Jacks, but Sterling can play at 3. There's nothing stopping you from him batting at 3, and you continue with that explosive start. So for me, they are the one team that've got lots of issues. For me, the teams, as I said, the players that are on the reserves, Carl and Paul should both be in that 11 for me.
Okay. Interesting one that you entered at Wayne Parnell, but I get you. It kind of feels like they are slightly slow, a step behind. Like they need to catch up with all the other teams in SA20, but they did just play one team and they've lost to them both times. Which, yeah, JP Germany is doing a great job in Paarl, by the way, because yeah, those guys look they are they are playing above what what their level is. And that's a testament to good coaching. Okay, so let's go through this. Let's go with MVP of the week. Tim, who's your MVP of the week?
It's gotta be Rickleton. It's gotta be. All the rancor that he's received, all the fact that he wasn't picked, and is he gonna play? Is he gonna not gonna play? Why is he not playing? All that kind of stuff. Social media wash with it.
Mm.
It's as if none of that happened. It's as if it's a new start. Both games, explosive starts. Both games, banging form. Both games, tied with the ball beautifully. Was that 98 and an 87? Yeah. At a strike rate of 150 plus. Absolutely, for me,
Yeah.
the performance of the week. Performances of the week.
Yes, the stat for I think Ryan Rickleton is that the person who scored the most, and this came from Sam, who's one of our Twitter friends and are now friends of the show. He said the stat was, I think Will Jacks last year scored 14 sixes, and Ryan over these last two innings only has scored 12. Kind of gives you a sense of the fire that's coming from Ryan
Wow.
Rickleton.
That's
And
good.
and yeah, so it's insane. I'm gonna go slightly different. I'm gonna go a bowling one. After yesterday's performance, Lungi Ngidi, 5 wickets in 2 matches, that 4 for 39 was for me worthy of being an MVP of the week. I know we don't give bowlers love, and we know how Lungi has been berated by our media. He's been part of many criticisms, but I think Lungi is a skillful bowler, one of the skillful bowlers we have, and he showed that yesterday at at Centurion. So yeah, really happy. Congratulations to both. But yeah, Lungi, well done. Um, SA20 innings of the week. There were a couple of innings, right? There's that 100 from Rassie van der Dussen. There's the 2 innings from Rickleton, the 84 and the 98. One at the Wanderers, one at Kingsmead. There's also 85 of 35 balls from Heinrich Klaassen. Obviously, Lungi's 4 for 39 is something that you got to put up there, as well as Devon Miller 75. Mitch van Buren 72. So there's quite a few that you could go to. Nicholas Puran 60 of 30 in that game against the ACC as well. But what's your innings of the week, Tim?
It's got to be Heinrichs. It's got to be the situation of the game when he came to the crease. The game was pretty much dead. The game was pretty much dead. And he just did it from the get-go. The way he maneuvers that field, because he is literally, we talk about AB, but Heinrich is a 360 player.
Yes.
Heinrich absolutely maneuvers that field to exactly where he wants the field to go. And the way he maneuvers the ball from outside off to leg over long on with just, well, it's KP-esque. It is KP-esque. I remember KP doing it, and the way he's doing it now, with so much freedom, with so much, he looks like a man he's had his chains broken. It really does look like that at the moment. The last few months for him, it really has been a purple patch for him. So for me, and I think it still would be the case if Durban had not won that game, which I think might have happened if the rain had stayed away. I think Durban might not have won that game in the end. But just the fact that they were able to get the win over just puts a cherry on the top for me.
He is so important for them. Like, just like how he's important for the Proteas, he is like seriously important for them. Like, he is, if he had to ask me to pick an MVP for the end of the season from now, it wouldn't be Rick, it's Heinrich. It's like he's like super important for DSG. Like, it's ridiculous. The surprise of the week, Tim, a player or something that surprised you this week.
Well, I kind of emptied it out just now. Tennis the brain selection and playing both games, not just selection. The fact that he's playing it I didn't really think of it when we did the enough when we did the sort of pre SA20 chat, but I know somebody pointed it out to me, I have to admit, and I thought about it. Taking a guy who retired last season from all formats of cricket except for SA20, hasn't been playing cricket. It just shows that you've got to be playing the game. It shows even in SA20, even in 2020 cricket, you've got to be playing the game. That's why the best T20 players, they might not be playing the longer formats, but they are constantly playing T20 cricket around the world, different coaches, different fields, different countries. They are improving themselves. I don't know what he's been doing for 12 months, but it doesn't look like he's been playing cricket. And that's, for me, definitely. It's a bit of a surprise that he's playing.
I've got two guys. I think for me, Andile Petluguayo. I don't think Andile would get a lot of game time in this SA20, especially with Fabian Allen coming in over McCoy. I thought maybe they might come through, but obviously Evan Jones has like fallen off the planet from a form-wise. But I thought he would struggle. But these first two games, he's shown how important he is for this Paarl Royals team. Man of the match performance on Friday night in Paarl, the 28-14 kind of underlies the work he's done with his batting, right? And if we're talking all-rounders, you can talk Wayne Parnell for the Proteas. I don't want to put Marco Jansen in that all-rounder conversation just yet. Andile Petluguayo is also someone who deserves a chance at a Proteas level, and he in T20s, and he's proving it. And I think he did really well. He was the reason why they won that first game. 2 crucial wickets, as well as that cameo of 28 that gets him over the line. And he's going to play the entire season. I look at that Paarl Royals team and I'm like, it's Bjorn, it's Shamsi, it's Petluguayo, it's Ngidi, and it's Obert McCoy with Fabian Allen as the 6th, and that's how they're going to play. It's the type of clarity you want as a team. And they've got, obviously, if Gwanam Makpaka was here, we'd be saying different things, but Andile's put his hand up. The other one, and we spoke about that trade, the John Smuts one. When John went over to Durban Super Giants, we thought his career was it's still on the decline, but we thought good because he had a really bad SA20, but Sunrisers were looking at him as John the batter. What DSG are looking at him as John the bowler, which is what's happened at the Hollywood Bets Dolphins the entire season. John is bowling people out, taking wickets as a spinner. His batting is a bonus, it seems, for them, but it's the bowling. And for me, John the bowler adds a little bit more. I still do think they've got a whole lot of spinners that they don't need. But John came back to Gqeberha, took 2 wickets, scores a couple of runs. I thought for a guy like him, lowest rank in from a money perspective in SA20, you got pushed out. You went back and was like, take that. I thought that was a surprise of the week. So really happy for both of them. And let's see how they do. I think they'll be quite important for both their teams. Okay, so now, Tim, I'm not mad, but I'm disappointed is just like your parents. When they shout at you, they say they're not mad, but they're disappointed. Which team, player, whatever it is, are you not mad at, but you are disappointed?
I think it would be the Sunrisers. We talked about it a short while ago. That I thought, because we did the preacher, I thought, well, they saw what they did last season. I thought, no, we can't have this. We can't have a bad start. We cannot have this. We are going to start on fire. We are going to start on the front foot, and we are going to, win games and win games convincingly. Now, I just think, as I said before, I think they'll be okay, but there does seem to be something missing there, something not quite right. I said it. I think it's because they've got the wrong 11, but I think it might be slightly more than that. So it's not something's not quite clicking for them at the moment. But I'm not I'm not mad because I think with Paarl there, I think he's going to get it right. I think as the season progresses, they will get it right. They'll get the combinations correct. They will get into the playoffs, and then anything's possible. So I'm a little bit disappointed that they didn't start off on a house on fire, but I'm not. It's okay. It's all right.
Look, yeah, I think for me, it's JSK and Pretoria Capitals, but yeah, largely JSK. You need to start well, and I think the reason why they made it to the playoffs last year is that they started well, and the batting was on fire. But obviously there's injuries and everything else. But yeah, it was frustrating to watch them not be able to compete at home and be blown away by an away team at home. But the one that I want to do, I'm not mad, but I'm disappointed. It's to the fans. We love that you are filling the stadiums. We love it. There are more sixes hit this year so far than this time last year in the SA20. So there's more opportunities for you to catch 2 million. We've been watching some woeful attempts, guys. Come on. Like, even the guys in Kingsby, like, we're sitting there going, like, oh, like, it's raining sixes. No, down. Guys, there's a chance for you to catch 2 million or share it 2 million. Someone's already gotten it. So he's sitting on 2 million. He's a millionaire right now. I need the fans. Get to the stadium. Please, 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 please. Please. Share the money. Because we can't have one man walking away, because the way it looks like from this vantage point is like, you guys didn't practice. You had an entire year to practice, but you just couldn't. So yeah, that's my thing. I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. I hope it improves for the next 3 weeks, because hey, this first weekend we're like, geez, let's just drop Central. We're like the Proteas, and we're not like the Proteas.
Weren't you playing Christmas over cricket over Christmas? That's what I was doing. That's what you should have been doing with the family, catching practice.
One hands. Yeah. So for me that's
I agree.
That's my I'm not mad, but I'm disappointed. It's love the fans. Get to the stadium, please, guys. You're just you're literally throwing money away. You're dropping the bag. But anyway, it ends there. Let's look at the fixtures for the week, and then we're gonna head on out. So we're just looking at the fixtures until Saturday. On Monday, today, when you listen to this, will probably be done. The Durban Super Giants take on the Joburg Super Kings in Durban. Then MI Cape Town play their first game at home against the Sunrisers Eastern Cape. That's going to be quite an important game for SEC, because you don't want to lose 3 in a row. Or not win in 3 to start off the tournament. Joburg Super Kings have the same thing. Then the Super Kings, again, they travel to Paarl in some sort of a away stand for them. They are going up against a table-topping Paarl Royals in Paarl. Low-scoring game, might be the type of game that the Super Kings could actually win. Then on Thursday, Pretoria Capitals at home against the Durban Super Giants in a Heinrich Clausen return game. Remember the game that Heinrich Clausen played in last season? I think he scored a century in like no time. He put them to the sword and took them away, and it was one of the 3 losses the Capitals lost last year. Then MI Cape Town staying at home in the Western Cape derby between them and the Paarl Royals. That's going to be quite intriguing and quite interesting for the 2 teams at the top of the table. Then Durban Super Giants take on the Sunrisers Eastern Cape in a return match. Maybe this time Simon Harmer could do something in this game. Outside of that, Tim, are there any games that you're looking out for in this week?
Oh, it's the Cape Town one. It's the Cape Town one and the Sunrisers. That is going to be a humdinger for the what you said. It's not the end of the road if the Sunrisers lose, but it becomes very, very difficult if they do. That's a big one for me. There are other ones, but I think out of the 6, that's the big one for me.
Yes, because the thing is, for the teams that are at the bottom, right? Yeah, it's just a week. You've lost 2 games, or you haven't won in 2. You need 6 wins to get into the playoffs. That's all you need, and then your work becomes hard, right? Not even 6-5 because Pretoria had 7, Joburg had 6 last year, and the other two had 5 and like a no 4 and a no result of 5. So there is a possibility that you can get in with 4 wins, but 4 or 5 wins, but 6 guarantees you. So if you start losing your third match, you then are putting yourself in a situation where every game matters and you want to win. So that's the type of things that we need to be watching out for, especially for the teams at the bottom. Can they make their way back up the table? Can they start winning to take themselves to the top? Because if we come back next week and Pretoria Capitals, and because they'll play 3 games a week, if the Pretoria Capitals, JSK, and SEC have lost 2 of those 3, you can effectively count them out of the reckoning, unless if they are going to be fighting for that 4th spot, and everyone's going to be like sitting on like 4 wins or 3. But yeah, so that's essentially something to watch out for next week. Outside of that, Tim, thank you very much. Please do like, subscribe, follow us on Twitter, X, YouTube, as well as on Spotify and what's this thing and Apple Podcasts. I'm gonna put up a poll this week on Spotify that went really well. A lot of you picking MI Cape Town to be the champion. So a lot of you guys are happy about that. So we'll see if the fortunes change. Good luck to all the teams. Enjoy this week of cricket from us here at the Full Quota Podcast. It's goodbye and lesale. Kakakis.